Welcome to the Rebekah Panepinto Project. Today, I am very excited to host a dear friend named Jase DuRard. Now, for almost 30 years, Jase has been in the healthcare revenue cycle technology space, where he has loved working with companies that help solve complex problems. He also loves helping healthcare providers to identify opportunities to use technology to make them more profitable. Jase has worked at different companies such as Imdion, Experian, AIM Healthcare, as well as Zealous Payments in various different roles across sales, operations, and executive leadership. Today, Jase serves as the Chief Revenue Officer of Vantage Health AI, which is a digital patient engagement company that is designed to meet patients where they are. They also help to create provider brand loyalty, stabilize provider margins, and move providers to the age of consumerism. We talk a lot about this today, but also about the incredible impact that Jase and his wife are making on the foster care community. Enjoy the show. Jase, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you. Good to be here.
Likewise, I've been so looking forward to this, so thank you for making the time. Excited to dive in today to really what digital transformation means for you and your business. And you have been extremely niche and very focused on solving problems for healthcare, specifically in the patient space. So let's dive into a little bit today. Tell us what you're up to at Vantage AI.
Well, at Vantage, like you say, we're really focused on patient experience and specifically patient financial experience. You know, our job there is to take what has been for the last 30 plus years a very paper-intensive, labor-intensive process and digitize it.
So you've been in the space for a while and different companies that you've helped solve similar problems. What is unique in how you're solving those problems today?
Everything's gone to a completely different level. You know, when I started 30 years ago, we were selling eligibility transactions on a credit card terminal, and we were the first at the time. Today, my company is looking at patient behavior. You know, what does it take to get a patient to do something? And then how do we learn from that? And then how does that alter the data? So it is way more sophisticated than it was, 30 years ago. Just the technology is off the charts. And it is ever evolving.
So is your buyer, the healthcare provider, also evolving and catching up and is open to as fast as the technology is changing? Or do you feel like they still have to kind of play catch up to an extent?
Well, Rebekah, we're in healthcare. They always have to play catch up. This is the slowest industry for technology. It has to be. I admittedly haven't worked in any others. I've always been in healthcare, but it is always widely, stated, probably somewhat tongue in cheek, that this is just 10, 20 years behind.
I would think it's got to be a better conversation and more exciting, though, to be like, hey, look at this advanced technology I can introduce to you, instead of having them being like, features, give me new features, do this. To be able to work with those, earlier adopters to help co-create something that then is probably pretty mind-blowing to another audience. That's got to be a cool seat to feel.
Well, yes. Now, I don't have a lot of feature conversations. The better conversation is tell me what's going on today. What does life look like today? And then it's, what if life could be better? And then the question is not tell me your feature. It's, okay, how could that be? How could you make that better?
Oh, yeah. And you're going to get paid faster. You're going to get profit. We're going to make sure you don't lose margin. All those things are problems they want to solve too, that may feel like a problem 5 steps down the road. But if you can help to accelerate this, then it's a closer to manage issue because they're closer to their consumer.
Yeah, it's volume and velocity and margin. It's amazing. Our technology, we can take in a file, a patient AR file, analyze the data, determine the best way to reach out to specific patients, send a message out, and receive a payment back, like percentage points of payments from a file in 24 hours before a print mail vendor could even print a letter. So
that's very cool. Oh, no more paper. Because that would be the answer in some cases with some providers, like in the mail, like to get my new address. I don't know.
Right.
If it's paper based, oh gosh, it has a low likelihood of ending up in my hands. However, if you text me, then
Right.
You're
right.
in.
Right. My home has we don't have, they don't allow you to put mailboxes in a new address anymore. And we moved into our home about a year ago. Yes, correct. It saves the post office because mail carriers, it's my understanding, mail carriers get paid by the number of stops. So now they put in new neighborhoods, they put a wall of mailboxes, like you would at the post office. So they make one stop for the whole neighborhood. I go to our mailbox wall like 3 times a week, maybe. It's terrible. So I don't know when another consumer like me is going to not only go to their mailbox, but open the letter, what they're going to do with the letter. But when you digitize your engagement with the patient, and I don't care whether it's a statement, a letter, a reminder, but when you digitize it, it's not just eliminating the paper. You know that the consumer is getting the communication, and when they're looking at it, and what they're doing with it. That's engagement. It's not just delivery.
I think another level beyond that too, topic that you're passionate about, is the behavioral science behind it. And I think there's more to behavioral science than just data points, because humans are not like concrete data points that make any sense consistently. So how do you draw this behavioral science piece into the data points to make really accurate assumptions around your user base?
Behavioral science is I don't know, I've gotten probably nerdier as I've gotten older. It's fascinating to me. My wife works in data science as well, and it's fascinating the way that we in the business community, in the technology world, can literally encourage a consumer to behave one way or another by how we interact with them. Interesting story. Apple, 10 years ago, you would make a purchase on Apple.com on your phone, buy a song, and you get a bill, 99 cents, boom, and it shows up. When people make purchases, it sets off a little pain receptor in your brain, whether it's buying a 99-cent song or a $35 blouse or a $350 blouse. It sets off a pain receptor. So Apple learned, using behavioral science, they learned this. And now when you make a purchase on Apple, they just accumulate. And you generally, I think I got receipts today. And so in a certain day of the week, you will get several receipts or one receipt with all of them on there and keep you going through the buying process. So we can do similar things in how we just, again, learn from the data. So we can say, okay, this verbiage used in this engagement with the patient resulted in an action. And so when you learn to read that data, the matrix, if you will, when you learn to read the matrix, you can really start to move the needle around, and you can start to drive behaviors and actions. And in this case, the behavior would be patients paying for their services.
Yeah, which they probably were going to, but maybe at the last day of the month, or they're going to mail a check, or it's something that gets forgotten instead of just, got a text.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last bill to pay. But it works for other things. There's companies that do the same thing for getting patients to come in and have a mammography or do some sort of screening. They want to encourage that type of behavior as well. Same type of technology applies.
It's customer service at its finest. Like if you boil it down, it's just giving to get, even though it is a little bit of a one-sided transaction as it relates to the payment piece. But it's showing like caring and understanding and hey, I'll meet you here so that my business is then successful, more profitable. We can continue to service the next customer. It totally makes sense. The funny thing is, like, it's 2022 and finally healthcare providers are adopting it. It's like, come on.
Right. It's just, it takes a minute. As I said, 20 years behind, but that's okay.
Hey, gives you more and more work to do.
More and more work to do. More and more work to do.
What is it about healthcare other than there's a lot of problems to solve? What is it, though, specifically about the industry that was like, for you, hey, 30 years, this is what I want to do. I want to go all in. These are the problems I want to solve.
Well, for one thing, I live in Nashville. And so, when you live in Nashville, there's 4 or 5 things you're going to do. And healthcare is probably the tops. So I kind of fell into it. And then the longer I stayed in it, that's where I was. Now, what I like about it, I think my family tells me I'm a little bit old fashioned. And so I think about things kind of old school. So I think of, how am I serving my community? How does my job impact Rebekah?
Mm-hmm.
How does my job impact, the lady that's in the assisted living facility next door to my mother? Mm-hmm. And so I think about that, and I think of, my job has this trickle down, so I'm truly trying to reduce the cost of healthcare. I'm doing that. I 100% believe that that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing that by playing my part in reducing the cost to collect and getting patients to pay. And so it's kind of funny when you think of trying to get patients to pay, but I'm trying to reduce the cost of healthcare. Well, yeah, those listening to your show will understand that if the patients pay, and the faster they pay, then it makes it more affordable for all. So that's how I try to contribute. And whether I've been selling eligibility, or whether I've been doing other types of automation and registration, or anything, I think of my mother, my father. I think of the indigent population, and I think of all these movements to reduce or give us free healthcare. I don't know that we're ever going to get free healthcare, but we can sure make it affordable. Mm-hmm. But there's so many inefficiencies that work against us. It is sometimes a daunting task. That said, the day they, quote, fix healthcare, Nashville becomes a ghost town. So, so there's plenty to do.
Oh, that's good. You definitely are an extremely passionate person. So that leads me to want to pivot a little bit to the other projects that you're heavily involved in, which are around the foster care community and Jonathan's Path, which I'm a huge fan of. 2 nephews that have now been adopted. It's actually Charlie's Gotcha Day today, which is pretty cool. Right. So yeah, new buddy in the family. So I'm super passionate about it, as are you. But tell us a little bit about Jonathan's Path and what you guys are doing to help the foster care community.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So Jonathan's Path is a nonprofit that we started this year. My wife and I started fostering about 3 years ago, and we specifically focus on teenage boys. Throughout the years, one of the things that we realize is that there's always a teenager for us to take in our home, because we're the only home in our area that would take in teenagers. It's kind of the adage, everybody wants a puppy. But when they get to be teenagers, and they are the last ones, and they've missed their formative years are kind of gone. The thing is, we get text messages every day of 1, 2, 5, 20 teenagers sleeping in the DCS office because nobody's there to take them in. So they're really hard to find immediate placement for. A kid comes in, they're taken out of their home, and they got to find a place for them to go immediately. And there's often just not. So they'll put them in the office. Once they've been in the office, they got to find a place for them to go long term. It's equally difficult to find that. We have had one young man that we kept twice. He is from our county in Middle Tennessee. He's now in Virginia because there was no one in the state that could take him permanently. Wow. We had a young man last week, who was just the most polite, respectful young man. Very excited about playing football. And if he wasn't going to play professional sports, he was going to be in criminal justice. He said, I really got to make some moves in my team this year. I got to move up. I'm a 3-star recruit right now. Well, guess what? He just got moved 2.5 hours away from his school. So he likely won't be playing football for his team this year. He's the perfect kid for Jonathan's Path to Help. We will attack this solving 3 problems. 1, immediate placements by providing homes that will be fully staffed 24 hours a day when a kid comes into the foster care system. If they can't find a family to take them in, they will come to Jonathan's Path Home. The second is long-term placement. So if they can't find a place for a child to go for long-term, they'll stay at a Jonathan's Path house in a group setting. Again, we provide the staff, the mental health, the dental. We have, companies that want to provide dental services and medical services, and mental health is a big issue. So we will provide all those things. And then the third are wraparound services. 20% of the kids, when they age out, are homeless the very next day. They just don't have the life skills to know what to do. So we will provide them with those life skills. We will effectively be their parents. We will teach them how to buy a car, get a job, give them career counseling, mentoring, life coaching. We will help subsidize their rent, assuming they're in the program. We are partnering with other like organizations and working to create something called Jonathan's Path Community Partners, where we can help shepherd kids through always making sure they know they're part of our, quote, family, our Jonathan's Path family. And at the end, we want them to have a place to go on Thanksgiving. We want them to say, this was my family. Blood determines your name, life determines your family. And so we've got a lot of chosen kids, and Jonathan's Path will provide us more. We are doing very well right now in the awareness phase and educating and letting people know what the problems are. And in the fundraising phase, of course, it's a big, big task. So I would say everybody go to the website and take a look. We'll be doing a 100-mile walk on November 19th and 20th, 100 miles over 33 or so hours to raise awareness and funds for Jonathan's Path. So we're very excited about it. And lastly, Jonathan actually was my foster son who we will be adopting at the end of the month. Jonathan was his brother, and Jonathan was killed in his abusive home and environment, and that's what ultimately led to our son Taylor coming out of that home and coming to join our family. So it is a way to honor Jonathan and make sure that our son Taylor is really doing what he can do to not have Jonathan's loss just for naught. And so he's doing very well.
Oh, I love it. And I'm a huge fan of the just success stories of foster and adoption. I have two nephews now that have been adopted. So I think it's such a cool mission that what you guys are doing. And I can only imagine if they hadn't been given the amazing opportunity they had to join my sister's family, like where their life could have been headed. So
right.
Fostering is a great thing, no matter what stage in the kid's journey. Like if you can make an impact in a child's life, that's the way to do it. With Jase's organization, you can also just kind of check if that's easier. So we'll share links to be able to get involved with the organization through that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Gives me goosebumps. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
So Jase, I want to wrap the show today with one last question for you, which is around principles. And I specifically want to hear from you. What is the guiding principle that you live by to be successful in business?
I knew you were going to ask this question, and I have really given it a lot of thought. I have a lot of Jase-isms, and I get kind of made fun of because of it. I am a pretty faithful person. I do keep a book, the Biblical Laws of Success. I keep that on my desk and read through that. I do think the Bible is a pretty good business book. I really do. But when I really started to break it down, I realized that most businesses that I've been involved with, and I think most, generally speaking, either offer a service or a solution. And so when I think about that, I think that I really have to break down those two words, serve and solve. And so my principles really are, I believe that you have to humble yourself to realize that what you're offering, whether you're selling or you're in accounting or whatever, your business that you're involved in, you're either serving or solving, which means somebody needs your help. All we're really here to do is help other people, help our communities, help our country at large. And that goes back to what I said I was trying to do in healthcare. It's just my core beliefs about it. So I believe that you you lead through service. You sell and you solve and you carry yourself in a way that allows you to solve other people's problems where they need it. And you do that by serving. So I think that's probably sums it up for me.
I love it. Amazing. Thanks for sharing today, Jase. It was so awesome to have you on the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's always good to see you. So thank you so much.